around, make my 40 pop.
Alright guys, today I'm going to be reacting to the brand new opening of the Boruto anime, and to be honest, I'm expecting to see some very good stuff. I did kind of catch a glimpse of it a little bit earlier. I did see a couple of things, but didn't necessarily get to watch the whole thing through. But of course, I do want to kind of analyze and see specifically what they did actually give us in the opening. By the way, I am not falling for the clickbait again. We got to cut the cap, cut the malarkey, and cut everything right now. Last opening, we seen a full-blown Kawaki versus a full-blown Momoshiki, or we seen a full-blown Kawaki with his karma seal with a full-blown Boruto potentially being controlled by Momoshiki. I'm not believing that everything that happens in this opening is actually going to happen. But of course, we do have to point out the actual manga is supposed to be coming to the anime in about a month. Right now, they're actually adapting the Sasuke Retsuden novel, and I believe in February, we're going to be getting the Code arc. So this right here should actually give us some things about that particular arc, but believe me, I am not falling for any traps. But let's get into the actual opening. Alright, so they have everybody in here. This right here isn't necessarily anything too crazy to actually look at, but one of the things that we have been talking about in the Boruto manga is that the side characters have not been involved pretty much at all, and we understand when it comes to the anime, they're supposed to add in a lot more stuff in regards to, like, I want to call it filler, but they're supposed to add in a lot more in-depth detail. They're supposed to add in a lot more information. Of course, they're supposed to involve a lot more of the characters because the manga is a monthly manga. They don't really have a lot of time to actually add in what Metal Lee is going to do. They don't necessarily have enough time to actually add in what Haoki's going to do, or even some of the main characters like what Mitsuki or Sarada is going to do in particular situations like this when Code actually does come to the village. So I definitely do want to see exactly how they implement these characters. Just because they're in the opening, again, I'm not falling for the clickbait. It's not a guarantee that they're going to be in the actual arc, but I am interested to see exactly who they're going to put in the actual adaptation and how it's actually going to flow, and are they going to have any impact at all. But let's continue. By the way, if there is anybody that could actually like be in like the core 3 of Team 7, now of course she's not necessarily on that level, it would have to be Tsubaki. Tsubaki is shown to be like one of the strongest characters among the new generation, even though she's not actually a shinobi yet, which is pretty much a very good thing for her, man, because it basically shows that she has a whole another fighting style that she can actually learn and potentially get stronger from that. She's pretty much on the level of, like, let's say a Sarada right now. I'm not necessarily saying that she's stronger than her, but like arguably on the level of like a Sarada, and she knows almost no jutsu. So that just shows if she does learn jutsu, she could possibly be a very good character. But regardless, if there was a character, I think that either her or Shikadai could possibly be involved in the core storyline, and possibly even Sumire. We did see Sumire in the manga as well. But let's continue. I definitely do want to see exactly what they're going to do with this next generation, the academy students. Now, I understand that, of course, they're not necessarily going to be involved in the main core storyline, but because they did actually do a full arc on the new generation characters, or newer generation characters, I do want to see if they're going to like have the cojones to actually involve some of them into the actual core main storyline. All right, now we got the big dogs. One of the screenshots that I did actually get to see on Twitter was that during the ending, we seen Boruto with his Jogan. We're not actually getting to see that right here, and I actually did hear that they didn't necessarily have it in the opening. So that right there is going to be definitely interesting. And of course, Kawaki doesn't have his dojutsu as well. I'm guessing that they're probably not necessarily going to show Kawaki's dojutsu mainly because that right there is something completely new, similar with Code's white karma seal. They're probably not going to show that, man, because those right there are going to be actual humongous reveals when the thing actually does come out. So I definitely can't wait for that. There go Code right there. Yep, see, no white karma seal. He looks like a boss right here. I wonder why it's not actually colored in though. That's questionable. I don't know. Maybe it's just a design. Maybe it's just an aesthetic. I do have to point out though, this might be like the first time that Code actually looks like this OG. Like, if you guys don't necessarily recall, back when the manga was actually around, and of course Code was in the storyline a lot more regularly, he was always like the little bro. Right now, they got him sitting like a boss. The only time that he wasn't really a little bro was when he had to boss around Boro and then basically make it clear like he was the big dog, and Boro basically understood. He didn't really try to go against what Code was saying. He basically understood that, hey, Code wants to do something, I gotta allow him to do it. But he looks like a boss right here, which I'm happy about. One of the things that we do understand about Code's character is that he doesn't really have the image of like a final villain as of yet. So of course, the anime actually portraying him like this, it's a good sign. Maybe they can actually make him be portrayed a lot differently in the anime than he is in the manga. And of course, if that is the case, when he is actually shown doing a bunch of devious stuff in the anime, maybe when he does come back in the manga, a lot of people might then have different views of Code, which I would absolutely love. And we got the other big dogs here. We got Ada and Damon. This right here looks like the Senran eye. And of course, Code is behind that as well. Code is actually in the eye, which means that Ada is actually looking at Code. Now in the manga, of course, I'm going to talk about some spoilers here. We obviously know the scene where Code basically frees Ada and Damon. That right there looked like it could possibly happen soon. We understand where the manga actually did cut off. This right here wasn't that far off. The manga cut off around chapter 55. I believe they were freed like before even chapter 60, so it wouldn't necessarily be a big surprise that of course they're freed once the manga starts to be adapted into the actual anime. But I do have to point out, I am still not falling for traps. This does not guarantee that we're going to see Code free Damon and Ada anytime soon. This is not a guarantee, but let's continue on. These things are kind of interesting. I believe these right here were around when Boruto fought against Amato. What is this? This is like a shield. Who is this? Wait a minute. Who was that? I have no clue. They got Metal E turning up. Of course, the GOAT Iwabe turning up. Let's keep it 1,000. Once Iwabe step on the battlefield, everything is done. Everything is dead. These things are actually interesting. I believe these are the puppets that Isshiki had. Not only the puppets that Isshiki had, this right here could possibly have some ramifications for the Kata organization as well. If you guys do recall, Deepa was actually sent on a mission to retrieve some of these puppets. And he never really got that, mainly because he was being like guarded by Shinki and the rest of Team 10. So I definitely do want to see if these things are actually going to be in the series. If these things are actually going to be in the series, my immediate thought is going to be what happened to the Hidden Sand Village, mainly because the Hidden Sand Village was kind of tasked to defend these things. Now again, I won't necessarily rule it completely out that, hey, this is just complete clickbait, because we've seen the Boruto opening do this before. But regardless, if this right here is actually in the series, we definitely got to get an update on my guy Gaara, pure point blank, and Shinki as well. Of course, some of you guys like Shinki, but Gaara is my guy. Of course, Baara, Gaara. Let's continue. They got Sarada here. One of the things that I don't want to happen, I do not want it to be a certain situation where we don't see Sarada's Sharingans. One of the things that the Boruto, I want to say the Boruto, but Naruto in general, they're famous for not actually showing us dojutsus, because it's very difficult to draw a dojutsu in every single frame, which is why we don't necessarily get to see Sasuke with his Rinnegan, even though he doesn't have his Rinnegan now. When he did have his Rinnegan, and even right now in the Sasuke Resident, they're not going to show Sasuke's Rinnegan every single frame of every single episode, because it's going to be very difficult to draw. Sarada, though, it's going to be very interesting, man, because her having 2 tomos versus 3 tomos is going to be very pertinent to the actual storyline. So I definitely do want to see her Sharingan most of the times when she actually does fight. So her having her glasses on, I'm gonna really hate it. We might as well give her some LASIK surgery or something, bro. Do something. All right, so we got fire style, we got lightning style, and we got Kawaki doing his thing. We don't even know what this is, to be honest. But I'm just calling it energy blast, like a Dragon Ball Z energy blast. But this right here is interesting. But the big thing is, of course, Kawaki's ability right here. This right here is called the Daikokuten. He's essentially using his eye dojutsu to produce these things. As of right now, we understand that Isshiki Otsutsuki is not there. So, of course, this right here is probably going to come from Kawaki, unless there's another person that actually is introduced into the series with the same eye as Isshiki Otsutsuki and Kawaki when he does transform. I highly doubt that's the situation. So, because of that, of course, this right here comes from Kawaki. All right. Oh, wait a minute. We got to go back. All right, so we got Kage, Kenshiki, Momoshiki, and Isshiki. I'm guessing that, of course, this right here is a regular opening clickbait. I wouldn't even call it clickbait or anything like that, because this right here is just entertaining content. I did kind of talk about Boruto possibly getting a Rinnegan in my last video. This right here is ominous. I really do want to see Boruto get a Rinnegan on his hand, not only because of all the abilities that he's probably going to get from the Rinnegan, but also the fact that it just looks absolutely boss. It looks absolutely cool. Imagine Boruto walking around not only with a karma stone in the palm of his hands, but bump that a freaking Rinnegan. I'd absolutely love it. But let's continue on. And also Isshiki Otsutsuki, of course, with his dojutsu. So this is the first time that we did actually get to see the dojutsu in the actual opening. They didn't really give it to Kawaki. Interesting. Not only that, they're also in the actual dimension with the actual stone things that represent the Otsutsuki clan, which is interesting, which kind of means that it's possible that they do give a reference back to this when it actually does come to adapting the storylines, or possibly even a fight actually taking place in this actual dimension. All right, and of course, now we got the actual inner Kata members right here, or the new Kata members. We got Ada, Code, and Damon. They still are not showing Code with his actual karma seal, which of course they're saving that for like a big reveal. But regardless, this right here looks absolutely boss. The 3 of them. Cut the cap, bro. Cut the cap. snap! We just seen a dream team lineup of Kage Otsutsuki, Momoshiki Otsutsuki, Kinshiki Otsutsuki, Isshiki Otsutsuki, Damon, Cold, and Ada. And now you showing us Metal Lee, of course, the big dog right here, Wabi could hold his own, and some scrubs. Like, what are we doing? All right, so that's pretty much it for the opening. That right there is actually fire. But let me know what you guys think about the opening, ending in the comment section down below. It's been your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.